I could take the invisible and achieve visibility.
I was the son of an ambassador. We had come there in a limo. You know, we actually came there. Oh gosh, life is funny. In a Cadillac limo, you know, chauffeur driven and all that. We left there in an ambulance. You know, and you know, the funny part was that we have a pool at home. We had a swimming pool at home, and it was almost like, why are we, you know? But he wanted to meet with other people, and they had a meeting that he was attending. So he said, let me just take you guys along because it's weekend and we're going back to school on Monday, and you know, let me just. So that's why we were there. And next thing, we were in the hospital, and they were trying to pump his heart and all that. Before I knew, we were back in Nigeria, and I was like, what am I doing? You know, it was like within a few days. All my friends, you know, my status, everything had changed. I still had the same clothes, I still had the same shoes, but I wasn't the same person. You know, my status had dropped, you know, just like that, because one person died. And we came back and it was almost like starting all over again. I mean, my mom had never worked in her life, because when you're a diplomat's wife, you're meant to, your job is mainly staying in the house to host guests and all that. So she had to now dust her certificate and get a job. And for me, life just turned around. From this guy who was going to school in Rolls Royces to this guy who was jumping buses to school. And till tomorrow, I respect everybody I meet, because you just don't know where you're going to be tomorrow. You know, so, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so focused, you know, in life also, because I don't want to fall, you know, from where I am today.
Well, at that time, I was in Queen's College then. In fact, I was in my 4th year, I think, and he had been ill, but you know, as children, since they don't tell you anything, you always think he's going to get better anyway. Things are going to be okay. So when they call you from school and tell you that, you know, because he died in England, they call you and tell you, you know, he's no longer there. You know, it was like, what? But it was just his leg that was pinning him before. Meanwhile, he had Hodgkin's lymphoma. I think a sort of blood thing, cancer of the blood or something like that. You know, so but we knew nothing about that. I was 14. Hey, so but it was very confusing. Let me put it that way. It was very confusing for me, and I was like, I didn't understand why. And at the same time, because he was a busy person, he traveled a lot. It took a while to accept it, because it was like, oh, he's traveled. He's on one of his trips anyway. You know, so it was quite hard. But then at the same time, you know, my mom had to adjust. But luckily, she was already working. You know, so things were okay. But then at the end of the day, we had our own baptism of fire somewhere along the line. You know, and then because she kept things going pretty okay. You know. But then she passed on too about 9 years later, and then that was when I started seeing life.
and this is really what was a connection for us initially. Like, a lot of people would never understand, and it's not something I would ever discuss with any other person, how the culture shock of losing a breadwinner, especially if it was a very successful person, and then your life goes from there to there. So we could identify with what it meant, and without saying much, we would just be like, you too, and that was the first thing. And funny enough, her mom died in 93, my mom died in 94.
Wow. At the same
age, because her mom was a year older than my mom.
Okay.
And her mom died a year before my mom, and they died at the same age.
Your dad died when he was 49, right?
Yeah.
My dad was like 45.
I can make you see. I'll tell you, baby, that all I need is your love and assurance, your faith and endurance, and all I need is to hear that you need me and know that you will.
Well, the turning point was a school band.
Okay.
You know, it was more like equal partners.
like, yeah.
Everybody came together to form a band, and we were all in school, and the band was really, really good. When we all left school, everybody went, because at least being professionals, we had architects, we had lawyers, we had all architectural scientists, all sorts of people in the band, and everybody went to their own profession, and we kind of like, this is not a bad idea, you know. We stayed there. I actually left music a little bit to work, but it was a show, I don't want to mention the brand, that came looking for us for a Valentine thing, and they were like, what are they doing? They said, those guys, they don't sing again, though, you know. She was working at an agency, and I was working, managing an office somewhere, you know, and they sent somebody. In fact, I'll mention the person's name. His name is Tunde Oshinibosi. They call him La Face.
Okay.
He was the one that, I mean, I've never really said this ever before.
Him and his brother.
But it was him and his brother that actually brought us back into music in 1993,
Was it 93? Thereabouts. 93. It was 93.
You know, we had left music like in the early 90s. I said, look, I want to make a success of my life. This music thing is not really paying. But then they came and said, you know, Guinness wants...
There, it's out.
Let's scratch that. Okay, this brand wants you guys to do a Valentine show for them. And I was like, no, I'm working, and you know, and then he mentioned a figure that was like 3 months my salary. So I said, what? For one day? I said, where? Show me the stage, I'll sing, you know. And I realized that things have started changing. They're paying people so much money to perform. I mean, why am I going to be sitting down in this office waiting for the month to end when I can make 3 months salary in one show? Okay, this is the place to be. So that was when we first started. And later, after we did that show, we realized that this was probably the way to go, and we came up with the Excite Band. The Excite Band was also more or less Wumi and I teaming up with an existing band. The band already existed, but they didn't really have They didn't really have singers, so they were more of a jazz band. And we're like, okay, look, let's come together. But you know, from day one, we had that friction of them and us, because
they were much older than we were at that time.
So I mean, we did that for a while. Then when we found that there were always disagreements and all that, in 1998 we put Deja Vu together. And Deja Vu has been in existence now for about 13 years.
And so far, so good.
The baddest band in the land.
And I'm a self-made man, but I feel complete without you. I don't want to come on strong, but this is how I really feel. I don't want to be on top if you're not gonna be there with me.
There's always room for everyone. All you have to do is carve your own little niche, and you know who you're targeting, you know what your objectives are, and you focus on a particular, should I say, goal. And so once you do that, just face yours. Don't say, I want to do this because somebody's doing this, I want to do it better than this person. Face your own. Because I believe if you're running in a race and you keep looking to your side, they're going to go past you. But when you keep your eyes on the prize, then, you know, nobody's going to distract you. And so it's been good. Like you said, hey, we don't compromise standards. That was very important. I had my reasons for going into it. You know, I just didn't like the way I was being treated in salons outside. You know, I thought they were all rude. They would take you depending on how much they felt you were going to tip them at the end of the day. Otherwise, they'll put a trainee on your hair, somebody that doesn't know much about it, you know, things like that. I just didn't like the action. I was like, one day I'm going to set up something that, and my staff is not going to treat customers like that, you know. So that was the motivation at the time. And also, and not only that, at the time it came about, I was hungry. As in, you know, things weren't that rosy, so I was like, okay, on a con waja, you know, no be only one they take enter markets, you know, that kind of thing. So, so that was the motivation there at that time. And hey, it's been on because it's over 10 years actually. So.
Ooh, baby, that